Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the webinar hosted by ICLEI Local Governments for Sustainability on the outcomes of Lima Dialogues and the vision towards Paris. My name is Yunus Arikan. I'm the head of global policy and advocacy at ICLEI Local Governments for Sustainability. I'm also acting as the focal point of local governments and municipal authorities constituency to the UNFCCC. Today we will have around 1 hour of a dialogue, which will start with a presentation from my side, and then we would like to give as much as possible time for questions, answers, and interactive discussions. Before proceeding with the content-wise, I'd like to invite my colleague to take you through how you are able to participate in the webinar through questions, through chat boxes, and through direct communication. Louise, are you there?
Yes. So hello everyone. Happy to have you here in the webinar. We will keep you muted throughout Mr. Arikan's speech. Please, if you have questions, type them into the question box that you see in front of you in the webinar interface, or keep them for later. We will have a question and answer session later where you can raise your hand, and we will also allow you to speak out the question to us. We will unmute you for that. So yeah, in general, if you have any troubles technically, also type them into the question box. I will be happy to assist you with them. For the rest, enjoy the webinar.
Thanks, Louisa, and just another reminder, this session is being recorded. We also have conducted another webinar earlier today for our colleagues who are in the Eastern Hemisphere. So we are aiming to upload both of these recordings on the Local Government Roadmap homepage so that you can also refer together with the PDF of the PowerPoint that you would be following today. So with this, and without too much delaying our timing, and we have now around 45 plus colleagues joining us today in this webinar. As expected, half of them are from European countries and cities, and we have also a significant number of colleagues from American continent, both north and south. So I believe there will be good diversity as well. So in today's presentation, we will first take you through how we have prepared for Lima. What were the steps, what were the milestones in before Lima. Then we would go through what has happened in Lima in terms of local government climate roadmap and what has been the achievements, outcomes. Then we will focus on the way towards Paris, especially the branding under the new frame, which is Transformative Actions Program, that we would like to promote together with our partners, especially in Paris. So let's recall the nations decided to develop a new climate regime in 2007, and that was more comprehensive. That was expectation, and it was expected to conclude by Copenhagen in 2009. That was the moment when the ICLEI and local government networks worldwide started to develop the local government climate roadmap, thinking that in this new phase there should be more prominent, visible references to local governments in terms of their roles and responsibilities. Until Copenhagen, we worked on this process. After Copenhagen, we continued to raise our profile through our initiatives like Mexico's Pact, the Urban Adaptation Charter, or Carbon Climate Registry. During this year, between 2010 and until 2013, we had made significant progress. First of all, our goal was to have a recognition, engagement, and empowerment of local governments, local and subnational governments. In that perspective, we can definitely proudly speak that recognition is done. We have two COP decisions. The one in 2010 recognizes local and subnational governments as governmental stakeholders. Then we have another second COP decision in 2013 in Warsaw, which refers to our role as raising the pre-2020 ambition. In terms of next steps, of course, there's a huge progress going on in terms of capacity building, technology transfer, mechanisms. We would like to see more and more local engagement of these processes, and of course, to deliver all these activities and actions, we really need to have new resources, additional financial and technical assistance, and also new opportunities in terms of institutional framework. So that's where we were at the beginning of the year 2013. If we look back, what has happened during the year 2014, of course, we have, as we mentioned before, we are perfectly enjoying the legacy from Warsaw with the Cities Day, with the workshop, and we had 3 hours of an intensive dialogue with the mayors and ministers at the same table. So that was a unique experience, and there was a concrete decision in Warsaw to convene a cities and subnational forum. And during the year, the negotiators also decided to convene a specific technical expert meeting in terms of urban environment. So this was held in June in Bonn, and in that session there was numerous speakers from local and subnational governments, from Dar es Salaam to California, and networks were there. There was also a very positive response from the parties. There was a very good discussions. Everybody was engaged, and everybody was happy to show the dynamic momentum from the cities and subnationals. In October, we met once again to take stock of what has been achieved in the past, and in that process, ICLEI, the World Bank, UN Habitat, and C40 were asked to support the work of the Secretariat and the ADP co-chairs, and we presented an overview of what has been achieved since June. Of course, while these were in the UNFCCC track, there was a very important progress during the year, which was the Climate Summit 2014, hosted by Secretary General of the United Nations. And one of the major outcomes of this event was the Compact of Mayors, which was bringing together major networks with the support of the UN Secretary General's Office, UN Special Envoy Michael Bloomberg, and UN Habitat. There were, of course, a number of other announcements, but this was the most remarkable one. There was an ambitious commitment to scale ambitions, and also harmonized reporting and designing the Carbon Climate Register as the central repository. In parallel to these events, mayors also joined the civil society in the People's Climate March. So when we were coming to Lima, we were thinking that now the new world of climate work has now 3 main axes, which is the one with the local and subnational governments' bottom-up proposals, which is under the local government climate roadmap mainly. Then we have the UNFCCC negotiation phases, which we summarize as there are so many interactions. And we have the outcome of the follow-up of the climate summit, of course. And this climate summit had also a number of outcomes. So we believe we were expecting that the challenge of Lima would be to make an appropriate synergy among all these initiatives, so that they all have a very systematic, or at least promising workable relations in all these processes. With this events and progress, we also have some technical work that has been delivered, especially in the UNFCCC process. First of all, there was a technical paper which was summarizing all the discussions in the past 1.5 years or so, focusing on renewable energy, efficiency, non-carbon dioxide, urban environment, and land use, of course. This had dedicated paragraphs specifically focusing on urban environment, paragraph 64 and 83. There was an important table too, which summarizes policy options in urban environment, mitigation action especially. And there was also a number of proposals for next steps, especially to be conducted under the UNFCCC umbrella. And among those, the most important one was the paragraph 164A, which was recommending for a consideration of a formal work program for national governments to work closely with the cities and subnational governments. In fact, this was really exciting for us because a similar work program has already been implemented in the Biodiversity Convention, and such a work program was also the proposal from the national government, local governments under local government climate roadmap. This ADP technical paper also had another addendum specifically focusing on urban environment, which was containing a broad a list of examples, case studies, good practices, but also technical analysis in terms of mitigation potential, as well as barriers to mitigation actions. We are very proud to see that there is a prominent reference to local government climate roadmap, a bottom-up initiative, and as well as the Carbon Climate Registry, which has been the world's leading reporting platform for local and subnational climate action. And the table on policy options is repeated in this paper, the addendum, but this time with specific references. So which cities or which countries and which are the data sources. So there's an extensive compilation in that sense, which is demonstrating that there's a huge potential that can be tapped if the UNFCCC negotiators agree to do so. Well, based on all these documents, just before the negotiations start in Lima, the ADP co-chairs also released a draft text for consideration to the negotiators, and that text, among many other documents, among many other paragraphs, for local and subnational governments, the most important one was related to paragraph 37A and B, and in that sense, these two paragraphs were in summary proposing that the parties would commit to develop new incentives and mobilize new incentives, both in terms of financing and regulatory frameworks, and in return, subnational authorities, including cities, would then scale up and increase their commitments and direct actions on the ground. And in that sense, if you recall our three goals, which is recognition, engagement, empowerment, this co-chair's proposal was exactly responding to what we have been expecting, and this was a huge motivation for us when we were coming to the Lima negotiations. As you can follow in this slide, all these documents, all these textual progresses has also been a result of more than 2 years of direct dialogue of the local government constituency with the negotiators. In that sense, it was a very good interactive and inclusive process, so there was a very good discussion and hearing each other. So with this, we came to Lima, and let's see what happened in Lima. In terms of engagement of local and subnational governments, our activities was branded under the theme Local Government Climate Roadmap Lima Dialogues, which is similar to the spirit since Warsaw and then before. This was mainly a one-day event. The high-level event was hosted by City of Lima at the City Hall. It was supported, the whole process was supported by the Peruvian and Polish government in their capacity as presidencies, as well as the UNFCCC Secretariat. And we had the possibility to interact with Polish, French, and Peruvian national governments. It was a very lively debate with ambassadors and ministers. We had regional discussions, Mayor of Bogota, Mexico City, officials from Brazilian cities as well, but we also had very good global discussions as well, especially ICLEI, C40, and RRI launched the global protocol for community-scale GHG emissions through a very dynamic event, which was joined by a number of cities worldwide and experts. We also have interacted with civil society in terms of responding to their call for 100% renewables. And here in this picture on the right-hand side, you can see that the local government delegation this year was particularly diverse in terms of gender and age limits and age profile. Here you can see the mayors and officials from Mexico City, Paris, and Bogota, which are all dynamic and active, and which was also very promising for our delegation's interaction with the rest of the UNFCCC delegations as well. So in addition to what has happened in the City Hall, we also have interacted with the national governments in the UNFCCC, especially through our side event with Inter-Parliamentary Union, which was also demonstrating the diversity of our activities. We have participated in the high-level event of the Peruvian government, Vice Mayor of Belo Horizonte from Brazil, State Secretary from California, and ICLEI President David Cadman actively participated in the debates, and mayors from all around the world also joined at the plenary, and there was a good opportunity for interacting with the civil society and ministers at the same time. With all these announcements and actually the consultations, We were also inspired by our progress at the Carbon Climate Registry, because we have in Lima announced that we have marked the 500 reporting local and subnational governments. We have announced also strengthen our collaboration with numerous institutions, including serving as the central repository of the Compact of Mayors, as well as Mexico's Pact, the Urban Adaptation Charter, Earth Hour City Challenge, and also Resident Communities for America as being the reporting partners of the Compact of Carbon Climate Registry. In all these interactions in Lima, through numerous sessions, we also have clarified our position, and we have announced our Lima communique, which was presented by Mayor of Lima at the UNFCCC high-level segment. It was mainly focusing on 5 elements. First, that we are in a significant point of no return on climate change, so we have to continue to act. We asked for inclusive and ambitious climate regime. When we say inclusive, we were mainly referencing that it should give room for all local and subnational governments and all non-state actors to be participating as their fair share in the process. In addition to that, we also have expressed our support and appreciation to national governments, UNFCCC Secretariat, presidencies especially, and the Friends of Cities who are supporting the work of local and subnational governments, because without their support, we wouldn't be able to make this progress. And we also expressed reiterate our commitment to work with our civil society partners, as well as advancing our commitments regardless of what's going on in the negotiations. One of the major outcomes of Lima was announced at the end of the high-level event on the 11th of December. That was the announcement of non-state actor zone for climate action, which is abbreviated as NAZCA Platform, hosted by UNFCCC Secretariat and the Peruvian presidency. And this is, in fact, a data portal that is communicating the ambitious commitments reported by cities, subnational authorities, and corporates and companies. And we are proud to announce that Carbon Climate Registry is one of the primary data partners of the NAZCA platform. And this is now enabling the reporting information of cities and subnationals in Carbon is communicated to the NAZCA platform, which has been a process that we have been working since 2010. This is showing how the global negotiators can benefit from the ambitious actions at the local and subnational level. So in that sense, that was a very positive spirit that was kicking off in Lima. So with this, in fact, we have reached to the last days of negotiations in Lima, and as you can recall, the last 2 nights was particularly intensive in terms of the final negotiations of the decision of Lima. What we have seen basically is that there is a Lima call for climate action which is adopted by or agreed by everybody. It starts with the important recognition that the current commitments are not enough to narrow the gap. There is a significant gap between global goals and the current national ambitions. Paragraph 3 refers or enables that any national contributions will be in line with the national circumstances. This is the first time that such a terminology is being used. Of course, this is giving a certain flexibility for all the national governments so that their announcement from the capitals will be accepted as appropriately at the UN process. And paragraph 16, which was originally a much stronger paragraph, it was foreseeing a much stronger review and assessment process, at the moment only foresees a dissemination process and mainly a reporting that makes a monitoring of aggregate effects of the national contributions. And there is paragraph 19.4, which in fact is not so much promising, because for the first time in the UNFCCC textures, we have for the first time are seeing that the participation of subnational authorities at the technical examination process will be subject to the nomination of those authorities by respective countries. As you can recall, especially in the last couple of years, we were so actively involved in this process, and we have always been in good dialogues with the national governments, but having such an additional requirement is slightly unique, and we will see how this will impact our work at the UNFCCC level, of course. 2 points to be remembering or to be underlined. when you read the text of the Lima Call for Climate Action, you can notice that there's no reference to Climate Summit 2014, and the negotiators also simply didn't respond any of the proposals contained in the ADP technical paper. So we hope that these processes will now come on board starting from Geneva next week, especially referring to the fact that the national governments have prioritized in Lima to clarify the relations among themselves. So probably now it's time for them to consider how we as subnational governments or local and subnational governments can contribute, and how the recommendations through the technical processes can now be inserted into the official decisions coming up this year. And looking at the draft negotiations text at the moment, we also have noticed that the references to local and subnational governments are not that much strong in that sense. So we believe there is still room for us to improve, and the national governments can still be considering to benefit from our contributions in this process. So now, with these conclusions from Lima, what could be our way towards Paris? And here comes our, let's say, synthesis or revised strategy towards Paris. First of all, we are all recommending, or we are underlining, that Lima United Countries, which is great, that they are all on board, but Paris must bring all actors on board for two reasons. One, because the current emission level is not enough to protect the environment or atmosphere. Second, the scale of action is broader than the national government's capacities and responsibilities, so there is a benefit for bringing all the actors into the process. And we are believing that there may be a number of ways to bring all actors on board, and these at the moment can be classified under three categories or routes, and we believe these are not exclusive to each other, and these are not either or, but each of them can be fed into the process as appropriate in different timing and in different strength. The first one, definitely we have to strengthen the work at the national level in terms of vertical integration of the national contributions and actions by integrating the commitments and actions of local and subnational governments. Of course, we know every nation has a different administrative structure, every nation has a different climate policy, but we still believe every nation can still demonstrate how they can benefit from the power and potential of local and subnational governments. Therefore, we were expecting that there will be diverse options on the table. And the other important point is that we know that the national governments will communicate their submissions of their commitments and contributions towards the end of this year, around October. Even this is communicated in October, we can still expect national and local subnational and local governments in time to increase their commitments, to increase their ambition level, and this could also be considered as a supplement to the existing national commitments. So this could also open a new frontier in terms of how we can support the global and national processes. The second track, which we are still excited to consider, is the option of developing a formal work program under the UNFCCC as a part of the ADP process. As you can remember, it was a proposal in the technical paper. It was already in the original co-chair's draft text. We were also encouraged this can come into reality because the new one of the new co-chairs, Mr. Ahmet Joglaf, is also a former executive secretary of the Biodiversity Convention, who had been very familiar with the context of a national program for citizens of nationals when it was adopted in 2010 in Nagoya. And the other co-chair, Mr. Daniel Rufschneider, as the U.S. government representative, he is also familiar with the subnational actions, especially within the U.S.-China agreement before Lima. Sustainable urbanization was one of the key areas. So we still believe there may be rooms for us to advance in the ADP processes. But the third and probably the most important one is that regardless of now the processes regarding the negotiations, we should come up to Paris with an acceleration of our local and subnational climate action, and we should now focus more on building our partnerships around this ambitious actions, and this will be the next step of my presentation. This is a proposal that is being discussed by leading networks under the roadmap and partners all around the world, including the French presidency as well. So the Transformative Actions Program is a new branding. It will be a revised response to the outcome of Lima, but also the policies of the French presidency. This will also be supporting the NAZCA Platform. It will also be a contribution to the Compact of Mayors and Compact of States and Regions. We will also like to brand it in synergy with the City Climate Finance Leadership Alliance, which is also a result from the Climate Summit. So in basic terms, this TAP, which is abbreviation of the Transformative Actions Program, will be helping us to increase the quality and scope of local action. We will try to bridge local and subnational governments with their partners, in particular in financing community, and we will provide more rigorous monitoring and reporting of implementation updates, and we will encourage more visibility at the national level. In concrete terms, through the Transformative Actions Program, we would like to increase investment in urban areas over the next 10 years. So that's why it's accelerating both actions by our local and subnational governments' direct investments, but also to facilitate more engagement, increased engagement of local and subnational governments in the national and global mechanisms that is addressing both capacity building, technology transfer, and finance. So this is mainly, this program will be a compilation of actions. It will be in two phases. One phase will be the pre-2020. You can imagine that this is more the low-hanging fruits that can easily be implemented. Those who have already made their feasibility studies ready or analysis of emissions measurements are ready, that can easily be scaled up. But there will also be a number of actions which may need some further preparations so that we can use the time now until 2020 for the baselines of these actions or feasibilities or technical preparations so that they can easily scaled up in the post-2020 period. That is the logic, that it should be inclusive, that should be on a city scale, it should be innovative, that could transform at the city level, and it could be also ambitious enough to announce that this is really a hope for future. This Transformative Actions Program will have three main elements. One will be a platform. We will foresee that visibility of those actions to be implemented through a structured and informative and unified format can be displayed. This can benefit from the existing reporting mechanisms that we are working on, but we can also connect this to the existing, especially financing mechanisms, so that we can have more direct interaction like NAMA registry or other processes that we have been working on, so that each action can find its way to a specific public or private financing channel, so that it's a diverse portfolio. We would like to come to Paris with a Transformative Actions Pavilion in collaboration with the City of Paris and City of Bristol. Okay, I think there is a difficulty to hear me. I'm very sorry for that.
I can hear you very well, Yunus. Go ahead.
Really? Okay, good. Thanks a lot, Luisa. So the Transformative Actions Pavilion will be in collaboration with City of Paris and Bristol, the European Green Capital and the host of COP21. There will be a strong collaboration with the leading networks of local governments. It will be in village, climate village, and we will also connect our activities strongly with the events conducted by UCLG, ICLEI, and C40 as well as other networks. The goal is that those 100 transformative actions, these pioneering actions, will be prominently visible in the pavilion so that we can demonstrate the negotiators and all the partners how we would be accelerating the action at the local level with the outcome of, or with the support to the outcome of Paris outcome. And the advocacy will continue to focus on ADP, but this year we know that there is a strong interaction at the post-2015 development agenda, and there's also an international conference on financing, so our advocacy channels will also focus on these areas. I'm now on the last round of my presentation. During the year there will be a number of avenues to work on these transformative actions program and other proposals. We will be visiting Geneva for the talks. Among the regional events will be in Bangkok and Buenos Aires. In Paris, European capitals will meet in March. We will be in ICLEI World Congress with a huge delegation to strengthen our strategy towards Paris and beyond. When the nations are coming to Bonn in June, there will also be an active dialogue through the Residencies Congress. Then in July we will be in Lyon for the Summit of Territories with civil society. We will participate in the UN summits at the end of the September, and we will also participate in regional events in Bogota and Africa in September and October, and then we will move to Paris. And as my last words, you can find in this presentation all the links that you can continue to check, and we will be looking forward to continuing our dialogue in that sense. So I've already consumed around 30 minutes of our time, and with this, considering that now we have reached around 60 of our delegations who is attending this webinar, I'd like to now invite you to consider taking the floor either by written questions, or you can raise your hands and we can unmute your microphone so that you can participate by raising your contribution. It can be a question, but it can also be clarification or an announcement that we have missed. So the floor is yours. Luisa, if there's any question, meanwhile, please also help me. I already see a question from Laughlin Arts, but before that, if there's any hands raised, let's see. At the moment, we don't see any hands raised, but we can read the question from Laughlin Arts. Laughlin is asking, what is being done as far as assessing Paris pledges in advance of Paris conference to determine the gap between pledges and what will be required to keep temperature increase to a maximum of 2 degrees? Laughlin, thanks a lot, because I think this is probably everybody's concern. Of course, this is a mandate that is given to you, the UNFCCC Secretariat, and in the Lima calls for climate action, you can also find in paragraph 16, as we have mentioned, that the parties will by the latest send their contributions, national contributions, by 1st of October, and by 1st of November, there will be an analysis by the UNFCCC Secretariat that will assess how much is left in terms of narrowing the gap between the global goals of 2 degrees or below 2 degrees and the current pledges. In terms of our work as local and subnational governments, of course, through our work under Carbon Climate Register, we are releasing our annual reports, and we would this year provide a more detailed understanding of how our commitments can contribute to the national contributions. Probably in our annual report this year, we will also touch to that. It will probably be available around June. But as I said, this will be a very complicated process, and there will be a number of other processes helping this discussion, I believe. So Pian Wang is also addressing. Thanks for your kind support, Pian Wang, for your kind words about our presentation. And the question is, how do you think of the public-private partnership in the urbanization process? Will there be more policy frameworks on this subject? Definitely, this is a huge reality. While we are focusing on this, for example, Green Climate Fund or Global Environment Fund, through millions of dollars or euros, and sometimes in the billion scale, we also know that there is a significant amount of investment by estate developers or by private development processes that is already being active in the urbanization, both in developed and developing countries. The question is how we can make them turn into low carbon and climate resilient investments. This depends on the local governments who are managing or guiding these investments. They should be asking for such a low carbon climate resilient development, but the companies should also provide these kind of services, and this could be, as you have mentioned, a joint effort. The local governments can specify more in their procurement policies, in their planning processes. They can adopt standards that can force low carbon technologies or climate friendly investments. And in that sense, that's the spirit where we are working with, as ICLEI, for example, with World Business Council, with Global Infrastructure Basel. There are a number of investment-focused initiatives where we would like to encourage them that these are channeled towards low-carbon pathway, independent from the negotiations, because these procurement bids, these investments are taking daily base and all around the world, and we can easily influence this process. And that's why the initiatives by City of Paris, the Compact of Mayors, and all these European and regional initiatives are important to address that. And that should be also the discussion, the heart of the Transformative Actions Program. We have, as you have noticed, maybe we are not just focusing on public investments, but the private investors, the philanthropies, and especially the real estate developers should also have a say and should also be considered as a partner of the debate about how we design our new cities worldwide. Any other questions so far from the audience? There has been a previous question at the beginning of the session. I just noticed this. Virginia Wieseman, I'm sorry that I missed that. Could you please elaborate or repeat, if I missed it, on what your expectations, hope are for the ADP negotiations coming up in Geneva? That is a good question, Virginia, because the scenario note was released just last week, and today, actually, UNFCCC homepage, you can also find the calendar of activities. The negotiations will start from Sunday until until Friday, and they will immediately start to go through contact groups. There will be a special day, which is 10th of February, Tuesday, which will be dedicated to, again, a technical expert meeting and an assessment and then a discussion with the observers. Our expectation is that, let's be honest, Lima helped nations to address a significant concern, which was that they were a bit stressed, let's say, if informally, that when they make any commitment, it will be questioned and they will be asked to do more, and they would have difficulties to go back and raise their commitment level. As I said, the new design of the Lima, which is in fact the new climate regime, is already designed with the spirit of Lima. It is, realistically speaking, a bottom-up process, and this is consistent with the spirit that the new regime is a race to the top, which means that you can only scale up a race to the top on a voluntary basis. Of course, there will be a lot of questions and discussions about how to protect integrity, how to ensure harmony, and how to make a concrete evidence that we are on the right track. Well, this is the challenge, that the nations would start to say that, okay, now that I'm a bit relaxed from the international pressure, maybe they can consider back to bring their national actors, private and local and subnational governments, and with the outcome of Lima, maybe they can redesign their negotiation text that is on the table at the moment. Let's recall, in Lima, in the last hours, in the last days, they didn't touch any of the previous documents of the expert paper or the thematic or the draft text. They only defined the new frame. So now, with this flexibility and relaxed atmosphere, they may come to Geneva, they may open really a new page saying that, okay, now we are giving the floor. They have to do it in one sense because they already have accepted the reality that only national commitments at this stage is not enough. So we are positive that, at least we would like to be positive, that Geneva can still trigger a new way of work, but it is too early to guess on that. So let's wait and see. But definitely we will be supporting the negotiators We would be meeting with the Friends of Cities that is supporting the work of the local and subnational governments. In fact, the presidencies, Poland, Peru, France, as well as Mexico, Indonesia, South Africa, they are all part of this processes, and there is another group of national governments like EU, like Korea, AOSIS, US, Canada, Netherlands. So we are working with a group of people, national governments, who are really trying to do their best to really change the course of action so that we can really advance our actions. So we will be once again meeting with them and see how we can progress. So there has been another question earlier from Nai Chehab. He's asking, I was wondering how much of the investments and funds that cities are getting are being put on into energy efficiency as opposed to renewable energy. Well, this is really a very detailed technical question. I don't have the example answer by heart now, Nai, but I know the most progressive, ambitious actions are always focusing on energy efficiency as the low-hanging fruit. For example, especially in bus rapid transit systems, waste management, these are all especially low-emitting LED lighting projects, heat island insulation projects. These are all energy efficiency investments. I don't have figures by now, but we are already noticing that if the local governments are starting their climate work, they are starting with their areas that they can save their costs, running costs especially. But of course, this upcoming, the capital cost has to be secured, and this needs additional public-private financing opportunities. But for sure, energy efficiency is occupying a huge investment. And in the commitments, we are also seeing energy efficiency as a core commitment part of the local contributions as well. The local commitments as well. Okay, now there is a colleague, Sohi Gu, among the audience who has raised hands so far. I'm sorry that I couldn't see you. Luisa, can you give the floor to Sohi Gu?
Sure. Sohi, if you would like to share your question with us, please go ahead.
No, thank you so much. This is Sohi Gu from Johns Hopkins University. My question is, what is your specific strategy to engage private sector investors toward these urban infrastructure projects? You have briefly mentioned engaging the private sector actors, and would love to hear more about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sohi. This is, as we said, UNFCCC by default, it's a negotiation of national governments, and therefore our primary focus is how to influence the national government delegations. But as you have mentioned, and it was a discussion previously, there is a significant amount of investment and technology development at the local level, either developed by technology providers or companies, or in collaboration with the local government. Sorry. In that sense, public procurement is one of the key areas in terms of how local governments can act with the private sector, especially service providers. The public procurement, let's say, criterias, the qualifications that favors low carbon and climate resilient products or services can be an interesting model. This has been intensively worked, especially in Europe, and there is a recent announcement which is with UNEP. There is a global sustainable procurement network where ICLEI is also a co-lead on that. And City of Paris is one of those who would like to promote this concept of low carbon and procurement and climate action. This is one part of the picture. The other part of the picture is, of course, public-private investments. And the difficulty here, of course, as ICLEI, as a global network, we cannot address a specific private brand or company, but we can encourage them to interact with the business developers. And we're trying to work through this collaboration and metropolitan solutions, a fair that brings private companies, especially the technology developers and their local and subnational government partners through an exhibit which is taking place every year. And through this, We also develop our dialogues with the private sector, especially with our collaboration with World Business Council for Sustainable Development. We would like to promote the notion that private sector is also a significant actor for the local actions, and local governments should take their collaboration starting from the beginning, starting from policy development. They should be engaging their private sector partners as stakeholders, and there could be a number of options for that, and there has been a recent study with the World Business Council on Sustainable Development in urban investments. This report was also been released last year, and I'm happy to share this work with you. So these kind of partnerships we would like to expand more, in addition to what we are doing at the UNFCCC level, and especially this transformative action program. We wish we can also announce certain collaboration with some sector companies or some sector alliances with a number of local governments. That could be some of the announcements that we can expect in Paris. And in that sense, if you have any ideas and suggestions, please, you're more than welcome to share with us. Probably we would be more than happy to incorporate this into our process.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Has there been any other we have a first question in the question pen by a journalist. Did I respond this question by the journalist? I think, was this Virginia Wieseman?
No, it was Mr. You've answered it.
Okay, we have answered that. Okay, good.
Yeah. There is a new question from Antoine Fay.
Okay.
I may unmute him so he can pose his question to us. Antoine.
Hello, Antoine from Dakar.
Hi, how you doing, Yunus?
Hi, great pleasure to hear Antoine. Welcome from Dakar, Chief Resident Officer of Dakar.
Yeah, that's correct. Yunus, I already put it in writing. What I wanted to, my comment is, I don't think we have to worry about high capacity cities in Annex 1 countries, because in any case they have more flexibility to do whatever they want to do in terms of mitigation or adaptation. The problem we're facing, and you know that when we were in Lima, everything that have been removed from the original text we have had did come from the opposition of the African group of negotiators, and especially from Tanzania. So I think that it's time now that we focus on cities that are in non-Annex 1 country, and try to work with them on concrete things that gonna show the focal point what cities could do to help them fulfill their INDCs, because this is something that they will not be able to walk away. In any case, the agreement in Paris is going to go with these INDCs. And as the Chief Resident Officer of Dakar, I'm quite sure that France did activate all their diplomatic capabilities, and they are working on the ground to have cities, to have territories come up in Paris very well prepared to really support them into getting an agreement. So we have at least 10 months to go. We have to do as much as we could to convince them. Thank you.
Thanks, Antoine. We have been working with Antoine both as a Chief Resident Officer at the city, but also he has been active in the negotiations in his government, and that's also a big strength because we have this interaction with the parties and negotiators. Antoine, you really raised an important issue. Of course, it was not just the Tanzanian delegation, but they were very vocal. We also had a couple of other delegations who were very, very uncomfortable to have so much visibility of local and subnational governments in the process. But I'm feeling that this was before the adoption of this Lima decision. now that there is more relaxation, I'm expecting that if we can really communicate, if we can talk at the capitals, if we can convince that what we are doing as local and subnational governments is not an alternative or is not a barrier but just supporting them, I think we can still advance in that. In particular, I would like to recall that during the year we would be once again meeting in Durban, Local Climate Solutions for Africa. In fact, the previous one was in Tanzania, actually, in Dar es Salaam. So the Local Climate Solutions for Africa would be for us the last round before Paris, and during this next couple of months, we'd have to use this all opportunities to come closer to the national governments, especially in developing countries as well, as you have addressed. Also, there are some developed countries who are also a bit hesitant, but I'm feeling that now that they have clarified that there will be not too much binding and or assessment or let's say compliance process, they will be a bit more willing to open the doors. But this is my wishful thinking maybe. We would try to test this next week in Geneva. I'm not sure whether you are coming, but I think it would be good if we can stay in touch, especially with that. And I agree with the French delegation. We're also very good in terms of making this bridging. So let's see how we can advance, and I would be also more than happy to have your support, in particular reaching out to African delegation as usual. Great. I'm just going through any additional comments, questions that we have not seen so far or missed so far. There are delegations, there are some cities that I'm familiar with that. Emmanuel Pinot is from Bogota is with us. Emmanuel, do you have update on the summit of Bogota? We were discussing that it will be around September, but we didn't have this update. But through this maybe session, if there is any update from your side, if you'd like to share any updates, it would be more than we will be more than happy. There may be a communication issue on that front. Maybe we can have. I mean, we will be in touch with, of course, the Bogota in terms of the date, clarification of the date, in terms of how this can contribute into the process of the global activities. Okay, we have colleagues from Committee of Europe, Committee of the Regions from Europe. We have other colleagues from a number of other regions. If there's any update you'd like to share with us, you're more than welcome to join. But if not, I think we're coming to almost the last round of our presentation. Let us recall once again the Transformative Actions program is our new preparation for Paris. We would like to come with around 100 actions every year presented to be implemented in collaboration with our partners, especially the financing partners, so that we can accelerate this next 10 years both with low-hanging fruits in the pre-2020 and as well as long-term investments in the post-2020 period. So this will be one of those events that we would like to work with you. We have already shared this vision of Transformative Actions Program with a number of partners. We are receiving encouraging responses. It's very likely that we will announce by the latest in March and especially in April in the World Congress of ICLEI And in meanwhile, we will continue our dialogues, especially with City of Paris, who is the host of COP21. We are interacting especially also with Covenant of Mayors in Europe, which is another actor in the European context. And we will be watching and actively contributing in Geneva discussions. Once again, we have 3 tracks at least, if not more. One, to continue and increase our work at the national level to highlight and to improve the vertical integration, that the national contributions are guided or inspired by local commitments as well. And even once they are announced at the national level, there may be still room for local commitments to provide a supplementary contribution, which may be an important vehicle to narrow the gap. And in that sense, you may think of the example from Seoul, for example. Second, we will work on the UNFCCC track. We will work with the co-chairs and the parties for a work program, whether it is doable or not. But independent from that, we will accelerate our actions through the Transformative Actions Program, which is branded as the TAP, and to promote it as to tap the potential of local and subnational action. So with this, I'd like to, if there's no more other question, I'm about to conclude this session. We would like to thank you very much for all your encouraging interest and valuable contributions. As we said, the records will be available on the homepage on the Local Government Climate Roadmap together with the PowerPoint. And we would like to continue this dialogue, especially after Geneva. We would probably have another round of dialogues. So please stay tuned and let's stay in touch. If you are attending Geneva, let us be aware of each other so that we continue our dialogue in that sense as well. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day, have a nice evening, and wish you all the best and look forward to contributing, collaborating, to advancing our collaboration to scale up local and subnational climate action. Bye-bye.